sun had barely begun to rise, casting a soft, golden glow over the tranquil suburban neighborhood. Emily, an avid runner, relished the serenity of these early morning hours. The rhythmic sound of her sneakers hitting the pavement echoed through the empty streets as she embarked on her daily routine. Little did she know that this run would take her on a journey into the depths of terror she could never have imagined. Emily had always felt a strange affinity for the unknown, often seeking out eerie novels and documentaries. Her fascination with the macabre had never deterred her from her daily activities, and she always brushed off the chilling tales she came across as mere fiction. However, this particular morning would shatter her perceptions and engulf her in a real-life nightmare. As Emily jogged down familiar streets, she felt an inexplicable unease settle over her. The once familiar surroundings seemed to twist and distort, as if the very fabric of reality was warping around her. She quickened her pace, hoping to shake off the unsettling sensation, but it clung to her like a shadow. Turning onto a tree-lined path that led to a secluded park, Emily's heart raced as she caught a fleeting glimpse of a figure in her peripheral vision. She stopped in her tracks, her breath catching in her throat. There was no one there, just the rustling leaves and the distant hum of a passing car. Shaking her head, she chided herself for her overactive imagination and resumed her run. The park, usually bustling with children playing and dog owners walking their pets, was eerily deserted. The swing sets swayed gently in the breeze, casting long, sinister shadows on the empty playground. Emily's instincts told her to leave, but her curiosity got the best of her. She slowed her pace and cautiously approached the swings. A whisper of wind brushed against her ear, carrying with it an indiscernible, chilling murmur. Her heart pounded as the unease she had felt earlier intensified. She turned around, her gaze sweeping the desolate landscape. And then she saw it, a figure standing at the edge of the park, partially concealed by the mist that had begun to roll in. The figure was tall and gaunt, its features obscured by the swirling fog. Emily's breath hitched in her throat as she watched the silhouette glide towards her, its movements unnatural and disjointed. Panic surged through her veins, and she turned to flee, only to find herself face to face with another shadowy figure, blocking her escape route. Frozen with terror, Emily's mind raced, desperately seeking a way out. Her rational thoughts were drowned out by a chorus of whispers that seemed to emanate from all directions. The voices were soft, seductive, yet filled with an underlying malevolence that sent shivers down her spine. Her limbs felt heavy, as if an invisible force was holding her captive. The two figures closed in, their forms becoming more defined as they drew near. Their faces were contorted in anguish, their eyes hollow voids that seemed to devour the light around them. Emily's heart pounded in her chest, her breath coming in ragged gasps. She was trapped, ensnared in a nightmare she couldn't wake up from. Summoning every ounce of courage she had left, Emily let out a primal scream and bolted towards the park's exit. The figures pursued her relentlessly, their unearthly moans echoing in her ears. She raced through the mist-shrouded streets, her pulse pounding in her temples. Every corner she turned seemed to lead her deeper into the labyrinth of her own fear. As Emily ran, she felt the world around her shift and warp, as if reality itself was unraveling. The very ground beneath her feet seemed to tremble, threatening to consume her. she stumbled and fell, her hands scraping against the asphalt as she struggled to get back on her feet. The figures closed in, their presence suffocating, and then, just as she thought she was about to be overtaken, the sun's rays broke through the mist, bathing the street in a warm, golden light. The figures recoiled, their forms dissipating like smoke in the wind. Emily's racing heart began to slow, her breath steadying as the nightmare began to fade. Exhausted and disoriented, Emily found herself back on her usual running path, the world now restored to its familiar state. She couldn't shake the feeling that she had narrowly escaped something truly sinister. As she walked back home, the events of that morning played over and over in her mind, leaving her with a chilling certainty that there was more to the world than she had ever dared to imagine. From that day on, Emily's morning runs took on a new meaning. The tranquility of the suburban neighborhood was forever tainted by the memory of the haunting figures and the malevolent whispers. She couldn't erase the terror that had seeped into her reality, a reminder that darkness could lurk just beyond the edges of the everyday, waiting to ensnare the unsuspecting in its chilling grasp.